Welcome back to the official Sasquatch and Squirrel Show. I'm Phil.
I'm Tim.
I wanted to talk about last week's episode and give a big shout out to Jonah. He sent us a video of a forensic videographer. He looked at the backyard footage we spoke about in the last episode and proved that it was legit.
Very cool.
Yeah, so thanks for the engagement and thanks for listening.
Yeah, man. Anytime that we get feedback like that from anybody, we thoroughly enjoy it because it just, one, validates or disproves us. And we're fine with either one. We just want to have that back and forth. So
Yeah.
that was great. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, it's absolutely great to have that engagement, and whether it's like you said, whether it's good or bad, we just want the discussion and the ability to have that open-ended conversation with people.
Did you do your homework on the dark pyramid or black pyramid, whichever it's called?
I did.
Uh-oh.
It's definitely interesting stuff.
This is one of those ones that, for me, it could be either believable or not. The main thing that makes it more on the non-believer side is the fact of, there's just not a lot of information out there, but it also makes it even more intriguing that way too, for me. What about you?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, there's just enough information to wet your whistle with it,
Mm-hmm.
but then the trail kind of goes cold, right? I mean, so for people that don't know, there's this. It used to be called Mount Denali in Alaska, and years ago there was an alleged underground nuclear test done by the Chinese government, and this sent shockwaves across the world, the Earth's crust, I guess, and somehow through like seismographs they found this large pyramid in Mount Denali, or formerly Mount Denali in Alaska. And this thing is supposed to be bigger than the Pyramid of Giza.
I think it's actually still Mount Denali. I think it was something else. I just don't remember what it was. But yes, you're right, though. Apparently this thing had it was like a huge base. And I don't know how tall the Giza pyramid is, but they said this right here is over 500 feet tall, or maybe they said
500 meters, I think. Yeah.
So it is huge. Science, they always use the meters and all that.
Right, because they're nerds. Because, science. Yeah, because, just speak English. Anyways, but we've had a military installation in this place since the 50s, but apparently interest in it didn't pick back up until the late 80s by a guy named
Doug Mutchler.
That guy. I don't want to butcher his name. He was a former U.S. Counterintelligence officer who was stationed at Fort Richardson in Alaska.
Yeah, and that guy right there, he being a counterintelligence guy, the first thing he wanted to do was, get familiar with his area. The first thing he went to is to the map room and just wanted to get a lay of the land, because if you're in that mindset of counterintelligence, you want to know what's around you, because I don't think there's much else going on in that base. So it had to be pretty boring. I mean, I don't even know how many people was on that fort. I mean, it just, there's not a lot of information on it.
No, there's not. And let's be honest, it's fucking Alaska. There's barely any people.
What do we got out there in Alaska?
Moose,
bear,
Eskimos,
trout,
and a couple of bears. Yeah, and I mean it's beautiful, but let's just say, I mean, unless you're an outdoorsy person, you're not going to want to go to Alaska, unless it's a cruise, which we all know going on a cruise makes you the lowest common denominator for vacations. But I'm sorry, but no,
you got to see the glaciers though. I mean, and I would say I've never seen the Northern Lights. I know we just had an event with the sun blasting off solar, solar winds or whatever,
solar flares.
Something that was going on that allowed us to have a spectacular view further south than what it normally comes, which is cool. I missed that. It was cloudy here, but to see that right there, see the glaciers, just the big rugged mountains. Yeah, I think the place is beautiful from what the pictures show. But you and me was doing our research on this right here, and I just wanted to pull up Google Earth just to see what's in this area that they claim that this thing was in, this pyramid. And right roughly where they said it was, there's nothing there. So like if you go to Google Maps, you're not going to be able to see anything. I mean, you just see snow.
Yeah, well, you'll just see, Mount Denali is all you'll see, and it looks like there's, like, a crater in Mount Denali.
But yeah, this thing is supposed to be about 60 miles to the west of Mount Denali, and what we were looking at.
Right,
When he was in the map room, he was studying the area, and he was looking at a spot on the map that said not this area not surveyed to date. And anywhere in our country should already be surveyed. So why wasn't this surveyed? So that kind of stuck to him. So
right.
he wanted to really look into this. But it's reported that 3 years later, he was watching news and with some fellow workers of his. He was, I think, still in the military. The news show said that there was a a pyramid that was found in Alaska underground, and he went to go home and record this footage for the evening news, and it didn't play, and he was like, "What happened?"
Mhm.
He come back. He was like, look, I want to go to the radio station to figure out what's going on here. So the man went there to the radio station to figure out what happened, and the manager of the radio station or the TV station said, "We ain't never played anything like that. I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you please leave?"
Right.
So he was just kind of you know baffled by that. So as he was leaving, somebody stopped him in the hallway and said, "Hey, you know what you're saying is true. However, some suits come in here, took it, threatened the manager, said, he'll go to jail if we air this again. This is national security type stuff. You know,
Mhm.
standard Men in Black type thing. Yeah, they're gonna come over here, punch you in the face a few times, say, it's national security, all that BS.
You know what you said, it just sounds like some Men in Black, black site, look at the flashy thing, we're gonna wipe your memory here, we're gonna wipe your hard drive.
Did you flashy thingy be?
Yeah, did you ever flashy thingy me? But that just goes to show you that something's there.
Right,
If they're doing that, if they're gonna say, "Hey, we didn't do this," even though he saw it with his own 2 eyes, but it wasn't just him though, it was multiple people that he watched.
right.
So in order to so for that to be like, "Oh, well, it didn't happen," is, lack of a better term, what we call horseshit.
Yeah, yeah, because like he went back to report what he found out to his crew, and the crew was like, "Dude, we all watched it."
Right. And then I think what, like a year later, he got transferred to Fort Meade, which we all know is NSA HQ.
Hmm.
Apparently, he decided to go browse the map room there, or was looking for documents or information. Ever how you
Yeah, I think it was the archive room.
archive room, yeah. And he was able to. He started looking, and then I guess he went in, and the person gave him said it's this, it's in this spot, this box, and whatever. He starts looking, and then 20, 30 minutes later, two dudes in suits show up, Agent K and Agent J. And he's like, "You need to leave it alone." And so it's all this subversion stuff that's not.
But one of the important things that's said about that area, or that minute that he had there
Mm.
with those suits, was one of the guys supposedly said too much and said they don't want you or anyone else messing with them up there anymore. So I wonder what that means.
Well, that means that there's something there. You would think. I mean, that would imply. Now, does that imply aliens, or does that imply the people that are stationed at the pyramid?
Well, interesting enough. Now, this is where the jump is, okay? So kind of bear with me here. You know anything about remote viewing?
Minimal, and I
Okay.
am a fucking skeptic.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But there's actually documentation of people that was able to remote view, which is basically being in one place, going into like a little trance of theirs, and be able to see things where they were not at the time. Like they would just get coordinates, and from that point, you know, they would tell the handler or whoever's interviewing them what's going on. And Ingo Swann is one of the more famous ones, and Pat Price, people like that. That's names that come to mind. Pat Price actually, uh, interesting enough, remote viewed a place and got into a base that was supposedly run by aliens and humans or something like that. And later on, he was out in either a store or out and about, and somebody ran into him. He had a pain in his leg, fell down, and had some serious stomach issues, and then died later on. And he was actually buried in an unmarked grave, supposedly.
Really? And what was his name?
Yeah,
What,
yeah,
what,
and that was Pat Price who got offed. You'll never know what actually happened to him because, according to the actual report, was he died. They cremated his body, then they told his wife about it. Now, being part of the CIA, which he was,
hmm
this is expected. So I'm assuming that it is one of those things.
Yeah, I mean,
It goes back to minding your damn business, son.
your goddamn business. Back to the thing with Muchner.
Yeah, so
No,
the remote viewing.
yeah,
So that's a little synopsis of that right there. And
mhm,
there's actual CIA documents and like FBI documents on it, and you can actually find that.
right.
I can't tell you where the website is because I don't know, but there are reports of people finding these documents. It's like one of those things that's not classified anymore. So
Yeah.
somebody contacted. What is that lady's name? That she's like a famous journalist. Is Linda Moulton Howe.
Okay.
Um, so she's like, dude, this lady right here is like uh, the the number one reporter, and is like always does her homework. She's a UFO journalist, right?
Right.
So I think Doug was contacted this lady about that situation, and like gave her the DD-214, showing that this is where he was, or this is what he was in. He was in the military because, for those that are not in the military, DD-14 or
Yeah,
DD-214, something like
it's a
that.
DD-214. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a basically retirement from the Army papers, or you're now out. So,
It's your military walking papers. It gives, if I'm not
yep,
mistaken, it's a record of what you've done in the military. It's where you were stationed, your job, all that.
yeah, I believe so. Uh, it, I've never been in the military, so I couldn't tell you 100%. But so she got all this information from him, got his story, and she found that very interesting. So she started doing her homework. Well, later on, um, I don't know the name of the person, but somebody was supposedly a remote viewer, viewed the base, and one of the things that this person saw
Mhm.
was a tour guide that was human like, but not human.
Did they
Take that for what it is.
Right, did they happen to have, like, a description of the humanoid being, or was it just
It looked, from what they said, from what I
Mhm.
remember, it looked very human like. So head, arms, feet, legs,
Okay.
the same appendages, It was a tour guide, but it wasn't human.
Okay.
She remote viewed this pyramid, and supposedly this was actual a base underground.
Mhm.
So I kind of jumped around on that, but yes, this is actually a military base underground, and it's supposedly connected to this pyramid. Well, this black pyramid is made of like a dark basalt stone,
Mhm.
an ancient basalt stone, and it conducts power, not only enough power to run all of Alaska, but all of the North American continent, from what they're reporting.
See, that kinda leads into the pyramids in general, like, isn't that the big thing about, the pyramids, like, that was some sort of ancient, I don't wanna say it
Power
yeah, like
generator.
power generator. It's almost like they were sharing, because if you look at all how strategically placed these pyramids are throughout the world, it seems like that there was some sort of interconnectivity there.
Yeah, and like, yeah, just like you said, there's pyramids all over the world, different shape, sizes, and stuff like that. Giza being the largest pyramid visually that we know.
Right.
But supposedly this thing is underground, and it is, it's a larger than the Giza pyramid from what is reported. Now, think of this. You've heard of the Bermuda Triangle, right?
Right.
Have you ever heard of the Alaska Triangle?
I just did because you just said it.
Well, there you go. Well, the Alaska Triangle, where it, not roughly in the center of this thing, but very close to center,
Mm-hmm.
Mount Denali is right in the middle of that. Now, fun fact about the Alaska Triangle,
Mm-hmm.
just like Bermuda Triangle with all these disappearances and stuff, there's been over 18,000 people gone missing since 1988 in that area.
Right.
Now, it could be just people are just worthless at navigating, but then again, there's been a lot of things happen there that's unexplainable. Like some people have gone in that area close to Mount Denali and in an airplane or a helicopter, and all their instruments just go haywire.
Right.
Now, could it be because this pyramid is actually putting out so much disturbance?
Some sort of, power coming out of this, it would have some sort of electromagnetic field. If it's strong enough to power the entirety of North America, it would definitely have some sort of interference with, with instrument panels. So that, and that could lead into the missing people. If it's, if there's some sort of disturbance or, electrical or otherwise going through there, it could mess up your, your altimeter to see how high you are. People could crash. So it's either there's some sort of electrical interference naturally, or it's this pyramid. You never know.
Yeah, and even the International Space Station, when it goes over certain spots, it has to power down, or the gravity spikes or whatever it's in that area can just blast, the power out of the place. There's all different types of things like that, anomalies over Earth. It's been noteworthy, but I don't know, man. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence with this one right here because, I mean, yes, I've heard of the Alaska Triangle. There's been several stories of different military working with the alien type base thing, but I don't know. This is a stretch for me.
Not to discredit Linda Moulton Howe lady or anything like that, but it just seems like all these people have seen it, and if it was, in the 90s or, the late 2000s, and, they don't, it's not like they're going to let you bring a cell phone in there and snap a pic and leave with it.
Right, right, right.
So I mean, it's a top secret base, and from what I gather, you were saying about the instrument panel, it was a helicopter that was flying through, and the helicopter lost power to its instrument panel, and they landed, and it was just to drop off something or to pick up something, and there was guys there in uniforms and all black, no insignias, no nothing.
Hmm.
They had 50 cal machine guns pointed directly at the helicopter the entire time. Obviously there's stuff there. We just don't know if it's this pyramid or something else. This kind of goes back to what I said in the last episode. Sometimes compartmentalization is good, and it's also but we don't need to know everything.
No, we
And I
don't.
know that sounds like a bootlicker a little bit, which I'm not. But I just think that sometimes it's just I don't need to know. I got enough crap in my life,
God,
you
yeah,
know?
minding your own
You know, it
business.
minding my own goddamn business. I don't know, man. I just think that, it's cool to think about it, but in the grand scheme of things, I mean, unless they're going to come out with a smarter iPhone, I don't give a shit.
Right, right. Firstly, let's think about this.
Okay.
Okay, supposedly the way they found this thing was the Chinese had a nuclear explosion.
Correct. We mentioned that earlier.
It sent shockwaves through the earth. And the scientists went to the area to study the ripples through the earth. Now, did they know this test was going to happen? How did they choose this specific spot? Was it because it was remote and away from like traffic? I mean, I understand that part because, that makes sense because, vibrations from trucks driving and cars driving, yeah, you're going to have some problems, right?
Right.
But it's like this specific area is not something that you can easily get to on foot or on a vehicle. And then if the bomb went off, by the time they already got there, in my opinion, to me, I think that right there discredits it because it's like, what the hell were they really doing out there? Why did they choose that spot?
It's a neat little thing like I said, to think about.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I agree. I agree. I mean, it's one of those things. What You don't know. I mean, maybe the US government has a special facility underground and there is a dark pyramid. They're trying to figure it out, maybe. I mean, that's a little bit more viable. I'm still on the fence about the whole alien base being also run by humans and stuff like that because, it just seems like something out of a sci fi novel.
Right.
It's just one of those things.
The alien human working together, that would make sense. If this is what this is, aliens or whatever, it would make sense that they would work in conjunction with us versus, trying to zap us with some sort of proton ray.
Yeah. Another thing that somebody thought of was it could be an alien ship charging station.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I don't think an alien spacecraft runs on 2 big ass D-cell batteries.
I mean, they could. No,
You never know.
No. I mean, it has to be something better than lithium ion.
You would think. And then where are they going to mine it in space?
Right.
Get the yeah. But like I said, a minute ago, it's a great thing to think about. Is it true? Maybe not. But just
well, speaking of
think
things
about it.
that could or could not be true,
Mm-hmm.
how about this one? Do you think there's a chance that the NASA astronauts that got supposedly killed in the explosion of the Challenger are still alive?
That sounds like a really good topic for another show.
All right. So where can they find us?
You can find us on X at the official SS show. You can email us at the Sasquatch and Squirrel at gmail.com. And any feedback is much appreciated. If you dig the content, give us a like.